Hello everyone, my name is Patricia Harrison and I'm here to welcome you to the Friends of Winckley Square Christmas offering. In the years BC, before COVID that is, you would have attended lots of our events throughout the whole of the year. All of that stopped on the 8th of March with International Women's Day. That was our last event. But we've been busy. We've been busy doing Zoom presentations, we've been busy adding to our website, and we couldn't let Christmas go by without a Christmas offering to you. So we want you to join us and celebrate Christmas, but in your own home. For now, sit back, maybe with a glass of mulled wine, which you would have drunk at our Christmas concert, or in my case, a glass of Prosecco. So Merry Christmas to you all.
Hello, my name is Annie Budden, and my last Christmas was 2 weeks before I died, in 1895. I was only 23. I was lucky to have found work in service with Councillor and Mrs. Willen. 25 Ribblesdale Place was a lovely house, and they were so nice to me. My parents lived in Middlesex, and they were really happy I was working for a good family. Christmas Day was a grand affair at the Williams. I was rushed off my feet, up ever so early, making all the fires, and then helping out in the kitchen with the cook bellowing, fetch this and fetch that. Didn't know which way to turn. And the food was lavish, with a stuffed goose, oysters, cranberry mince pies, loads more. Nothing like weird at home. I was used to rabbit. On Boxing Day, all the servants got given a Christmas box on the day off. All the other servants spent it with their families, but my family were too far away. I arranged to meet some friends. Wore my best outfit, this one. Actually, Mrs. Willen gave this to me because it no longer fitted her. I think you'll agree, it's very stylish. Like most girls, we wanted our waists to be as small as possible. It was a fashion. Now, my waist was 23 inches, so I bought a corset with an 18-inch waist. It was worth it. I looked so slim. And my friends were so envious of my outfit. We strolled along Fishergate. I had a few pennies to spend, so I bought some unclaimed babies. Oh, you call those jelly babies. It's probably my sweet tooth that did me in. I need to tell you how I died. But I'm warning you, it wasn't pleasant. I started with toothache before Christmas. It got worse and worse, so I had to go to the dentist. I was scared because I knew my tooth would have to come out, and I'd heard stories about how painful it was. But I plucked up the courage, and as soon as I finished my work, I rushed to see the dentist at number 95 Fishergate, next to the savings bank. Nathaniel Miller was the dentist. You probably know his name. He was the one who had the Miller Arcade built. Anyway, he quickly put me into his dentist chair. I thought that there was 2 teeth that were causing me pain, but he said that there was only one. Couldn't bear the thought of just having the tooth pulled out, so I asked for some laughing gas. I knew that I'd be put to sleep and that when I woke up, it would all be over. The taste and the smell of the gas when he put the rubber mask over my mouth and my nose was very unpleasant, but I was asleep in no time. I remember waking up and thinking, oh, well, that was all right. Didn't feel a thing. But then I couldn't breathe. Started fighting for breath. And that was my last memory. The doctor was sent for, who tried to save me by giving me ether and cutting away my corset. But it was too late. I was dead within half an hour. At the inquest, the doctor said I died because my corset was too tight. The coroner told the jury that
her death had resulted from her receiving gas while suffering the effects of tight lacing.
it took no time at all for the jury to return a verdict of death from misadventure, whilst under the influence of nitrous oxide gas due to suffocation caused by excessive tight lacing. I do wish I would have been happy with my 23-inch waist. It was decided that Mr. Miller was not to blame. Nothing I can do about that. But I wasn't the only one to have died in his dentist chair. However, that's another story. Merry Christmas, everyone. And whatever you do, don't wear a corset.
Hello everyone. I don't think I need to introduce myself. 2020's been a very strange year, what with everyone having to wear a mask, keep 2 meters apart, as well as washing hands all the time. I'm usually full of ho ho ho, but this year's been more like no, no, no. I think I can take mine off now because there's nobody around. That's better. There. Do you know, boys and girls, that I keep a note of how I get into each home? My favourite way is down the chimney, but many of you no longer have them, so I have to get in any way I can, including windows, cellars, and even cat flaps. I was once sneaking through a cat flap just as the cat was coming home. She took one look at my beard and ran off at top speed right up to the nearest tree, to the end of the highest branch. Imagine how I felt. All the presents in the world wouldn't have made up for the loss of that little cat to the 4 children who lived there, so I just had to get her down again. I wasn't able to climb the tree, as you may have noticed. I'm quite big. The branch began to creak and bend, and next I heard it begin to crack. Now I know cats have 9 lives, but this was so high she would have used them all up by halfway down. So I held my breath, closed my eyes, and called for Rudolph. Suddenly there was a sound like rushing wind, flash of bright lights and the sound of bells jingling. And guess what? You've got it. Rudolph swept up the cat, gently laid her on the ground next to the cat flap. Anyway, I've been talking too long and that's not what I wanted to show you. Tell you what, I'll be back in a short while and you'll see me doing something you've never seen Santa do before. Bye for now.
Well, there I was again. Edith Rigby, Preston's most famous suffragette, returned to prison. Locked up, or should I say locked down? Our cause was just. Women should have the vote and the government should have listened. But no, they didn't. So we took action and ended up in prison. I apologise if any of your ancestors lost their Christmas cards when we set fire to the post boxes, but any property was fair game, as long as no one was actually hurt, as I told the policeman when I admitted to burning down Lord Leverhulme's bungalow. Women should have the vote, so we could help women have a better life, have better housing, better health, better prisons. We knew it would happen. We knew it might not be in a year. It might take 10 years and even 100 years. But we were determined that there would be women in government, leaders who would help keep everyone healthy and safe. I was locked up 7 times over the years. It should have been 8, but my father paid my fine once when I was in Preston Court. One time I was arrested at the public hall. The place was surrounded by policemen, but I'd gone in disguise and had been able to make my speech before they realised. There was a scramble at the end and I was protected by other suffragettes. But we were all arrested and I didn't even manage to let fly with a potato to knock a policeman's helmet off. During my last day in prison, when I was on hunger strike and had been force-fed, I became so ill they sent me home, and I escaped to Ireland to recuperate. My husband Charles was so concerned, he tried to get me to promise never to go on hunger strike again. But I wouldn't promise. When I was in prison at Christmas, I knew that the food they would give us would be awful. So I wouldn't miss it much. And I might just try to imagine a proper Christmas dinner. At least by then they'd stopped force feeding us. I knew Charles and young Arthur would be all right, and that his family would invite them for Christmas. They all liked good old Uncle Charlie. He always made them laugh. They said he needed a sense of humour to be married to me. That was probably my worst Christmas, so I tried to think about those happy Christmases I'd had when I was a child. The family gathered round the table, Father waiting to carve the Christmas goose. But wait a minute, where's Edith? Late again. Well, you see, I had just popped out for a few minutes. I'd been saving my pocket money for weeks and had been out to buy a few little presents that I could give to some of our neighbours who lived just off Church Street. I knew they were not as lucky as us and couldn't afford much in the way of treats. I just wanted to wish them a happy Christmas. And now to you, happy Christmas.
Come, let appearing. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Christ the Lord.
Merry Christmas, everyone. My name is Henrietta Mary Jessup, and I'm the eldest daughter of the late Thomas Miller Jr., owner of the Horrocks' Cotton Mills, the richest man in Preston. Christmas 1882 was such a happy time for me and my children, little Nellie and Sydney. There we were with dearest Mamma, back in the house of my youth, number 5 Winckley Square. This house holds such special memories of my childhood Christmases. Presents around the tree here in the hall, roasting chestnuts on the drawing room fire, singing around the pianoforte in the salon, and playing hide and seek with my sisters and Fraulein Müller, our beloved governess. After breakfast, carriages would be brought round for the whole family to attend morning service at St Paul's, and later, dearest Papa would carry the roasted fowl from the serving pantry into the dining room amid cheers and happy laughter. How beautiful the gardens are in winter. The children then were playing freely, just as we did in the happiest of childhoods. My cousins lived at number 8, and we spent many jolly hours together collecting holly and berries to decorate the hearth. I put away all recent memories of my husband's ill treatment. He deserted us, and I had no alternative but to seek an end to the torment that was my marriage. In that winter of 1882, I was anxiously awaiting the outcome of my divorce petition. To think that I had ventured on that path where so few dare to tread, the shame, the disgrace. I could easily have been cast out by those I love best, but I was determined. How fortunate was I to have the loving support of dearest Mamma, my brother Thomas Horrocks, and all my family. Oh, dearest Papa, so long ago he departed this life. How glad I am he did not know of my suffering. I am overcome. Where are my salts? No matter. This reviver should do the trick. Well, it is Christmas. Happy Christmas, everyone.
Hello everyone, my name's Monk, Thomas Monk. I'd like to be remembered as Mayor Monk, Mayor of Preston in 1852. My proudest moment was unveiling the statue of Robert Peel on Winckley Square. The crowds on the day were a sight for sore eyes. I felt 10 foot tall. That's just over 3 metres for those of you who went to school after 1971. The statue's still there. You can read the inscription about Robert Peel. You can even see the name of the sculptor, Thomas Duckett. But look carefully at the cartouche at the foot of the pedestal. It's empty. My name used to be there, Thomas Monk, Esquire, Mayor. It was also carved in stone on the side of the new fire station in Tythebarn Street. I should have been remembered in perpetuity, or at least until the statue falls down, but no. I wasn't written out of history, I was literally chiselled out, and I'm still angry about it. Here's how it all went wrong. I was accused of forging the will and of attempted murder. Imagine, the mayor of Lancashire's finest town accused of murder. I'd been the doctor to a Mr. Turner of St Paul's Road for 2 weeks, when sadly he died. He left a will. I was the chief beneficiary. Rumours were rife that I'd killed him and forged his will. They even dug up the body and carried out a post-mortem to make sure I hadn't murdered him. Outrageous. Anyway, the attempted murder charge was dropped, but the forgery case went ahead. I can't explain why the will was written in the delicate hand of a local female hairdresser when the dead man was a reed maker with rough hands. They knew I was short of money and that I knew the woman. They used that against me. But don't imagine for a second I was convicted on the evidence alone. Oh no. When I was arrested, unusually, I was taken in front of a single magistrate, William Ainsworth. He didn't like me. Nasty piece of work, Ainsworth. He was a Liberal and I was a Conservative. He lived over there in the Italian villa. Grandest house on the square it was. It's gone now, replaced by Winckley House. One writer claimed that working for Ainsworth was little short of slavery. Ainsworth denied me bail. At my trial in Lancaster, guess what? The judge was another damn Liberal. I was sentenced to life imprisonment with hard labour. Imagine it, me, Mayor Monk, Mayor of proud Preston. But I digress. This is supposed to be about my best Christmas. I've had two. The first was 1861. I was in jail when I got news that Ainsworth was dead. It cheered me up no end. They say don't speak ill of the dead, but it doesn't apply if you're dead. It transpired that his will was full of generous sums of money to his staff and £2,000 to help pay for a new Unitarian chapel in Preston. That's £250,000 in your new money. But guess what? He had no money, not a sou. No one got a penny. He'd spent the lot. I enjoyed my 1880-87 Christmas even more. I was 90, I'd been pardoned and released from prison in 1868. My patients in Preston begged me to return to my practice, so I did. By Christmas 1887, I knew I didn't have long left. I chuckled to myself. My will had real money in it, unlike that hypocrite Ainsworth. I left £9,000, well over £1 million today. No wonder I enjoyed my last Christmas. I suppose you'd like to know how many wills, if any, I forged. Well, if you read my obituary, there is no mention of any crime. So you could say even my conviction has been written out of history. A happy Christmas to you all, and many of them. Oh, and see a solicitor if you want to make a will. There are plenty on Winckley Square.
I'm back. As I said, I always check in advance the homes I visit on Christmas Eve. Rudolph and I usually fly above the rooftops using a sat-nav, and I mark any changes on our maps. This year I couldn't risk bumping into any adults because of COVID, and I was worried about how I could get it done safely. I can always depend on Mother Christmas when I have a problem. She said to me, "Santa," she calls me that, except when she's annoyed with me, and then she calls me names I can't repeat here. Anyway, Santa, I'm going to give you your Christmas present early this year. I think it will really help you check out the homes of the children. And here it is, my very own drone. Now then, Rudolph loves coming to Winckley Square as there's lots of grass for him to eat. Tony, the park warden, lets Rudolph feed away from the flowers. Now I can send the drone up above the rooftops and check out all the chimney stacks. I'll start by checking which buildings still have chimneys. I usually find lots around Winckley Square. Some of them on Winckley Square are over 150 years old. Now I'll need lots of fairy dust to get down some of these. The rooftops are really big, so not a problem for Rudolph standing on them. He does have difficulty sometimes when there are solar roof panels because we can't land on them. Now, children, don't forget my mince pie on Christmas Eve. Sometimes I get fancy pastries. I think they're made from recipes from the Great British Bake Off. Merry Christmas one and all, and keep safe.
My name is Thomas Miller, and thanks to the fortunes of my father, also called Thomas, I lived here at number 5 Winckley Square, Preston. My father was born in 1767 in Whitehaven, and in his 20s he came to Preston to look for work. In a chance encounter, he approached a gentleman in Fishergate and asked directions to Horrocks' mill. This gentleman turned out to be John Horrocks himself. On the spot, he offered my father a job. My father married my mother, Catherine, in 1798. They both worked for the Horrockses. John Horrocks must have been impressed by my father's abilities because in 1802 he offered him a position in the board. With his new position came a home. Mr. Horrocks was moving from his home in Golden Square to live in Penwortham Lodge. He gave his house in Golden Square to my parents. Mother was suddenly elevated from domestic help to lady of the house. Sadly, John Horrocks died in 1804. He was only 35. John's brother Samuel, assisted by my father, continued to keep the company running and profitable, and by 1828 my father was the largest single shareholder in the company. I was born at Golden Square in 1811. As the eldest son, I took over my father's responsibilities at the Horrockses when he died in 1840. I was 29. I married Henrietta in 1841. We came to live at number 3 Winckley Square, where our first 3 children were born. We named our eldest son Thomas. We lived happily at number 3 until I bought number 7 Winckley Street on the corner of Winckley Square. I wasn't really interested in that house. What I wanted was its garden, on which I built this magnificent house, number 5. We were very happy here. The business went from strength to strength, and cotton manufacturers like me made a great deal of money. But then in 1861 came the Lancashire cotton famine. A large number of factory workers became unemployed. In 1864, I bought land down by the River Ribble and gave it to the corporation to develop into a park for the benefit of the people of Preston. I never saw it completed, but who did they name it after? Yours truly, I'm proud to say. 1864 was to be my last Christmas. The girls were very excited and looking forward to Christmas. In every house on Winckley Square stood a rather grand Christmas tree, but none beat the one in our parlour. Minnie was 12 and would grow into a confident young woman. Tommy became a fine young man and didn't expect to inherit the Singleton estate at the age of 19. And William, well, William was just William. Neither of the boys had any interest in cotton. Henrietta and I always shared some splendid bottles of claret with our many visitors at Christmas. In fact, I left her 1,800 bottles of wines and spirits in my will. It's a pity I died of liver failure before I could enjoy more from my fine cellar. A Merry Christmas to one and all.
on sight. Mary and Joseph in stable there, watch o'er the child beloved and fair, sleeping in heavenly rest, sleeping in heavenly rest. Silent night, holy night, shepherds first saw the light, heard resounding clear and long, far and near the angels' song. Christ the Redeemer is here. Christ the Redeemer is here. Silent night, holy night, Son of God, oh how bright are His smiling from your face, shines for us now the hour of grace. Jesus, Lord, at your birth. Jesus, Lord, at your
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. May your heart be light. Next year, all our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas.